In Europe, we consume the equivalent of 3 planets worth of resources. One Planet Living is an ambition for creating a sustainable future for everyone. One Planet Living has got sort of 10 principal areas, of which a few are particularly related to development. So building buildings with a low use of energy and carbon energy, water saving, and there is use of materials that are less polluting, more recyclable and require less energy to prepare the materials or extract materials in the first place. And that's where Passivhaus comes in.
Passivhaus is a low energy building. It's also a comfortable building. So many people, when they hear Passivhaus, they immediately associate that with the low energy benefits of Passivhaus. But the design philosophy, when the two professors, academians who were behind the Passivhaus concept were designing it, they were interested in creating a place that was actually comfortable for the Nordic climate.
It measures the indoor temperature to the outside temperature and makes sure that the people in the room have the right amount of CO2 in the air so that they don't fall asleep and get drowsy.
Teachers say their students are more alert in a Passivhaus school. This can be put down to the better air quality that is provided in a Passivhaus building.
So the orientation is accounted for. The amount of sunlight coming through the windows creates a heat gain, and then the amount of leakage through the building, through gaps and through low performing thermal materials in the fabric are heat losses, and it balances those so they're almost the same. So the incoming heat gains are the same as the outgoing heat losses.
Passivhaus gets to the nub of why is a building energy efficient, and it's done in detail. The amount of heat everybody gives out is calculated. Everything's calculated. We even had to calculate the heat from the deep fat fryer from the kitchen. The benefit of that is you get the building you want, and it's super energy efficient.
Sutton Council is an outer London borough, and the council has for decades now been looking and being quite forward-looking about sustainability in the future. We feel that Passivhaus focuses on buildings that will really run with low energy input and low carbon demand in a more focused way than the BREEAM scheme, which is the more common UK sustainability accreditation scheme. So for this new Sutton Secondary School, we've opted for Passivhaus as being the design and construction guidance and certification method.
Normally you have your own design team involved, but on this one archetype joined us, they were novated across, and it's that relationship we develop with the architect.
We've partnered with them at an early stage, which I think is a really useful thing to do in Passivhaus, because you actually get the people who are going to build the thing to give you advice on how to construct it in the best way and the most cost-efficient way.
You do your normal design, and then you challenge that with the Passivhaus requirements. So it's quite a complex design process, and from that I've learnt that you have to have that team ethos. And on this project with the London Borough of Sutton, I think with that and the design team, we've had a really close-knit team that have all worked together to this end goal, which was the largest Passivhaus school in the country.
The design work up front will be more expensive. You need to think about the design from a very early stage in much more depth than a normal building. But also you have the long-term running cost savings as well. So when you factor those in, Passivhaus is significantly cheaper.
We cannot afford to make any mistakes because we will not achieve the accreditation if we do. So the challenge to the team is to continually reinforce the importance of getting it right.
One of the big challenges that site team have to deal with is the tight tolerances involved here and the level of quality required to build a Passivhaus. Airtightness is also another major challenge for them. To get airtightness right, they cannot leave it to the end of the project and test then. What they would need to do is test the building for airtightness, at a few different milestones. The airtightness level that we are trying to achieve on this project is about 10 times lower than what the building regulations requirements are. So it is going to be a huge challenge.
The first phase has been design, which is now very much advanced, and the challenges there have been to reconcile secondary school brief with quite a challenging site. It's got quite a level change, it's got lots of fixed features like mature trees and boundaries and hedges and all sorts of characteristics that's made it challenging to design. And then to achieve a passive house secondary school, that has also required a lot of design invention and a lot of testing and iteration and refinement.
It's not technically difficult, but we understand the real importance of making sure every single interface is completed properly and efficiently and to the right standard, and making enough time in the programme to ensure that we do that right has been a challenge.
The more and more passive house buildings we build, hopefully this will get the message out to the wider world that it's not only about lower energy builds, it's about saving the planet, climate change. It's also about a more comfortable environment for the people who are going to use the building.
We are trying to build and maintain a future for future generations, and that is for, as a council, it is for residents, it is for children, it is for people who work in the borough, it's for the whole community and in perpetuity, and that's the ambition.
It's a very important building for Sutton. It's a very well designed architectural building. It will be, by its very nature, a very well built, constructed building, and I see it being a beacon for all future buildings of this nature in the country.